Welcome back to the channel, guys. Andrew here, winning Turo strategies, winning strategies for Turo, and lots of news hitting this week. The Chevrolet Z06 Corvette was unveiled, and man, what a car this thing is. If there was any doubt whether the Corvette is now in supercar territory, there should be no doubt anymore. It's got the horsepower, it's got the mid-engine, it's got the sound. The Z06 has everything. But is the Z06 going to be just as good for Turo as the C8 Stingray? That's the big question. And you all know I'm a big fan of the Stingray. I think it's a phenomenal car for Turo, the best car for Turo. Can the Z06 live up to that standard? I don't think so. I've told myself I'm gonna skip the Z06 as far as touring it, and I'm gonna give you 5 reasons why the Z06 will not be near as good as a standard Stingray for Turo. Let's dive in. Let's go. All right, so look, the magic formula for newer, nicer cars it's pretty simple. It's calculating how much you're going to have to invest. How much is the investment amount? And then calculating what kind of revenue, how much revenue can you bring in? What is the daily rate you can get for that car? And so any car, if you're investing this amount of money and you can get this amount daily rate comparative to other cars in that value, then the last thing you have to calculate is what's the value of the car going to be when you sell the car in 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, however long you plan on keeping that car, or calculating the depreciation of the vehicle and how quickly is the car going to depreciate. So when we compare the Z06 to the C8 Stingray, we have to compare those two things. So I'm going to give you 5 reasons why the Z06 is just not going to be as good as a C8 Stingray. The first reason is the price. So you can build out. I don't recommend, I do not recommend spending 10, 15, 20,000 over MSRP for a C8. But if you wait to the end of the video, I'll give you a couple tips on how I believe within the next 6 months, you'll have 1 or 2 opportunities to purchase a C8 Corvette as close to MSRP as possible, maybe at MSRP, and I'm considering adding another one, and I'll tell you how I'm going to plan on trying to do that. But the pricing, you can build out a C8 Stingray for around $65,000 to $75,000, depending on if you want to do a convertible or not, okay? Well, the Z06 is going to be probably $90,000 to $105,000. Now, we don't know the exact pricing of it yet, but if you're going to build it out for Turo, that's probably what you're going to have to spend. So you're going to be spending 35 to 40% more than you would on a standard C8. So, and I just don't think you're going to be able to get 35 to 40% more as a daily rate and still rent it as much as you may want to rent it. So I think the C8, you can get pretty much $300 a day, all day, every day, and get more than that on the weekends. If I had a Z06, I would probably list it for $399 a day, and then maybe $500 on the weekends, $450 on the weekends. But it's only about a 25% increase from what you can get for a C8. And proof of this is those of you who've rented Performance Model 3s. A Performance Model 3 does not get near, there's a lot of people that are going to rent a Performance Model 3 that they don't even know or care or anything. They just know it's a Tesla. And so a lot of times, people are not going to pay that extra. At one time, the Performance Model 3 was $15,000 to $20,000 more than a regular Model 3. And you just don't get that type of a premium for it. Same thing with the Z06 versus the C8 Stingray. You're just not going to get that much more, and you're going to start pricing the car out of, regular people's budget. You're still going to get people who have a Z06 on order. You're still going to get some of those premium and good customers. But you're pricing yourself out of the upper middle class people that typically would rent Corvettes. And so they're going to go back, they're going to rent the other ones that are a little bit closer to their price range in the $250 to $350 range, especially multiple day rentals. So number 2 reason is the horsepower. Okay, the Stingray's 495 horsepower is just about perfect for Turo. I can't emphasize this enough. It's not too little and it's not too much. It's just about perfect. It's 6.2 liter V8. It's got the power and the feel of V8 to where you can get that extra money. You can get that premium dollars, but it's not enough power to have the car wrapped around the tree in the first 10 rentals. And the Z06 is a different beast altogether. It's adding almost 200 horsepower, 670 horsepower. And when you're getting into that range, you're in the range of the previous generation Z06. You're in the range of Hellcats and Shelbys. And please go out and talk to people who are renting or who used to rent Hellcats and Shelbys and ZL1 Camaros and Z06s. There's a lot of problems that come with when you're just basically turning over the keys of 600-700 horsepower cars to the 15 to 20% of the people that are just not responsible or not used to that kind of power. And a lot of times it doesn't end well. Now, to be fair, the Z06 should handle and be a lot better than virtually all those cars. Probably better than the old Z06, probably better than the Shelbys and the Hellcats and the ZL1s. But still, we're not comparing those, okay? We're comparing a C8 Stingray at 495, 500 horsepower, to almost 670, almost 700 horsepower. And very similar platforms. You can just get a lot of more trouble on this end than you can with a C8 Stingray. And the C8 Stingray is just such an incredibly stable. It's very difficult to break the wheels loose on that car, and it's just a very stable and pretty secure vehicle, even for somebody who's maybe not used to driving a sports car. Number 3 is the tires on the Z06. So now we'll get more specifics in the days and weeks and months to come, but 95% chance these are very specialty tires on this car, and they're going to be summer-only tires. And if you don't know the difference between summer-only tire and an all-season, when you build out a C8 Stingray, if you don't do the Z51 package, not only do you save yourself $7,500, and if you're not tracking the car, there's not a lot on the Z51 except for the spoiler and some certain things that you really need if you're not tracking the car. And the Z51 doesn't add any extra money to Turo, but you get the specific Michelin Pilot Pro S tires that were all-season tires that are specifically made for the Corvette. I'm close to 20,000 miles on my first Corvette, C8 Corvette, and I still got plenty of tread on the tires. I'm not having to replace tires yet, and on the flip side, it's because they're all-season Michelins. On the flip side, summer tires, they don't have a lot of tread to begin with. They're made for a track. They're made for, they look almost bald when they're starting out, and they're not cheap tires. The tires on the Z06 are going to be very, very expensive tires. And so you have the risk of the tires breaking loose on the regular road, in addition to you're going to have to go through more tires, because if you're renting that type of a car on the platform, Turo is very big about having good tires on those type of vehicles. If you get a wreck and those tires are close to bald, that can be a big problem. That can give Turo a reason not to deny the claim or put you in a lot of different situations. So the summer tires versus the all-season tires. Now, you got to remember, whenever you're doing this kind of stuff, you have to. It's not what you personally want. It's what's going to be best for the platform. And all seasons, something like a Pilot Pro S Michelin tire or a Continental Pro Contact tires that got great grip and they can go in rain, and you don't have issues with them compared to a summer tire. It's just the all seasons are way better. Take my word for it. Okay. Number 4, quickly, the temptation. the temptation on the Z06, even people who maybe are not just, renting the car to dog it out, they're going to want to push this car. This car revs to 9,000 RPMs, and the exhaust and the engine comes alive by pushing it, and the temptation to push this car even more than you would normally want to is going to be there. And, you're going to have people who, you're going to want, if I rented this car, I'm going to want to wind this car out. 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 RPM, see what that feels like. That's what the car's built around. It's built for the track. It's built to be pushed. And when you combine the horsepower, the summer-only tires, and the temptation of the car to be pushed, it's going to lead into number 5, which is the damage claims. Okay, the Z06 is going to be much more susceptible to damage claims, and not just regular scrapes and bumps and scraping the bottom, but like big damage claims, like total loss damage claims, or like damage claims that maybe the vehicle's not total lost, but it's going to be in the shop for a month or two. I had my Stingray was out for about a month and a half to some damage. Not like major, terrible damage, but enough damage where the car's going to take a long time to get fixed, and that's a month and a half that you're not bringing in revenue. And so the Z06 is just going to be much more susceptible for those reasons. High horsepower, summer tires, and just the desire, the temptation of the car to be pushed. And to me, it's just not worth the risk. So I'm standing by my original design. Look, I had the opportunity to put a deposit in on the Z06 a long time ago. I kept telling myself, no, I know, we all knew the Z06 was going to come out. We all knew this was going to be the hot Corvette. This is going to be the real supercar of a Corvette. But I told myself, for Turo, would I love to own a Z06? Absolutely. Would I love to take a car to the track? Absolutely. If you put it on the platform, will I rent it for you? Absolutely. $500 a bid day, take my money. But as far as a business decision, comparing a C8 Corvette to a Z06, this is just better in pretty much every single category. And it's a safer, less risky bet. Now, there is a couple things. One, somebody who maybe your whole purpose of buying the car is not just about profit, and you just really want a Z06 Corvette, and you can put the price at $500 or $600 a day, and you're not like stressing if it rents out or not. If it rents out 2 or 3 times a day, then it pays for most of the car payment, and you're happy, then by all means get a Z06 because it will rent. And if you price it high enough, maybe you can price out the riff-raff as far as I'll go out of their budget range, and it'll be a fun car for sure. But let me give you a quick tip. If you want to get a C8 Corvette and you just haven't been able to get one down for your fleet, you don't want to pay $20,000, $30,000 over MSRP. I'm going to tell you this. All the new shine is on the Z06 now. So that's the new shiny new toy. And there's a lot of people who've been waiting to buy a C8, waiting and drooling, and have been sitting on the sideline. Now they're all looking towards this. They're putting orders on Z06 Corvettes. And the dealerships now are starting to get and keep C8 Stingrays. My dealership we have got 6 or 7 Stingrays that, they've been asking $20,000 over MSRP. $25,000, $30,000 over MSRP, and they're not moving now. I promise you, come December, January, and February, there's going to be dealerships that are not going to want to sit on these cars in January and February. Cars that are, $80,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, and if you keep an eye on the dealerships closest to you, and the ones that have inventory of them, and you watch them, I promise you, some of you out there will be able to make an offer, pick January, the last 2 days of January. Dealers at the end of the month will make deals that they don't want to make, but they need to make. So look at the last day of January, the last couple days of January, February, and I promise you, you'll find dealerships that, they might have been asking $20,000, $25,000 over MSRP in September, October, If they still got the car in January and February, they may take $5 grand over MSRP. They may take MSRP. And if you can snag a C8 at MSRP, you know, one of the last days of the month of January and February, man, that's the perfect time. You get good pictures, you get it listed in March, and then you're going right into peak season, and you've got still one of the best cars for Turo. So I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna do that myself, and if I can grab another one, you know, very close to MSRP, I may not add another C8 to my fleet, and maybe you can do the same. So until next time, I'm out, but keep doing what you're doing and look at the information, stay up to date, and make the best decisions that you can do moving forward. Thanks. I'm out, guys.